What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy. Some. Hit the keys. I know you guys are probably getting sick of all the native instruments coverage on the channel, but obviously it's a lot going on right now. So in today's video, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about companies that maybe should buy into native instruments and companies that shouldn't buy into native instruments. So I know Bolo did a video similar to this the other day. I checked it out. In my video, I want to do a little bit different. I want to realistically talk about the companies that maybe could afford it and so on and so forth, but maybe trying to find out a little bit about how much revenue they make each year, so on and so forth. So we'll talk about the realistic candidates and some of the ones that aren't and all that other stuff. So let's start with the first company, and we're gonna do a company that should not buy native instruments, that should stay as far away from native instruments as possible, and that company is gonna be Waves. So we don't really know how much Waves, none of these companies, we really know what their revenue is exactly every year, but Waves makes somewhere between $15 to $75 million a year. And it says here from 32 to 75 is probably more realistic. So they've got about 200 employees with Waves. Obviously, we all know Waves. So Waves makes a bunch of different plugins, and most of their plugins focus on mixing and mastering, although they do have sound plugins, and they also have like guitar amps, so on and so forth. But the thing about Waves, it would just completely kill native instruments because of their upgrade policy. Could you imagine having to update the collector's edition, you know what I'm saying, of Complete every other year for like $400, $500? Because, you know, that's what Waves would probably charge you. It would completely kill the users. If Waves bought native instruments and I had to upgrade my freaking plugins every year, I would quit using native instruments immediately. I would be done. I would quit immediately. No, I'm lying. I'd get my year through, but then after that, I would not upgrade. I would not spend that $400, $500. So I think that Waves would be the absolute worst company that could invest in anything native instruments because more fees. And then the second company I have here, this would be a nice company if they could buy it, and it would be Arturia. So Arturia, they say here, makes somewhere between 23 million to potentially 100 to 250 million annually. I would believe it would be in the 100 to 250 million annually for the reason that Arturia sells synthesizers. You know what I'm saying? They sell interfaces, they sell Midi keyboards, they sell a ton of software, they sell plugins, they sell effects. I think that if Arturia could just purchase native instruments by itself without Isotope and without Brainworks and without Plugin Alliance, it would be the perfect fit for Arturia. Because what does Arturia have? Arturia has all of the synth emulations. They have all of the synth emulations, right? So since they got all the synth emulations, what do they need now? More real instruments. So if they could bring all those contact libraries and add it into their ecosystem of all their synthesizers, Arturia would be unstoppable. And I don't even think that they wouldn't necessarily need the controllers. You probably would take them too. But just think about throwing all that Arturia stuff into like a machine and them revamping a machine and all that stuff. That would be pretty solid in my personal opinion. I could definitely see them rocking with Arturia and doing some dope things. The next company that I have for you guys, this is going to be something that's probably not been on anybody's radar, but it's a company that would be able to absorb everything native instruments, and it wouldn't hurt them financially. And it would be a company like Sweetwater, right? Right? So Sweetwater, their revenue in 2025 was $1.86 billion, right? So Sweetwater clearly has the money to buy something like Native Instruments. And we know Sweetwater does sell software on their site and all that other stuff. So like a Sweetwater could purchase Native Instruments, and obviously they would be able to sell all their stuff on their sites, but they wouldn't be a company that would have to integrate Native Instruments into everything. So they wouldn't have to, you know what I'm saying? They could still keep everything the way Native Instruments is kind of running things, other than, you know, the poor business model that's got them into the preliminary insolvency. But they wouldn't have to do much. They could just fund, you know what I'm saying? And they do a great job of advertising and marketing and making money. So now you got the power of Sweetwater's marketing and advertising team to meet up with Native Instruments. They could do some dope things, and they could do all kinds of stuff. Like if Sweetwater, a company like Sweetwater was to buy them, they could do different things to where if you're buying instruments, now they can package some complete stuff with you. Or if, you know what I'm saying, you're buying a microphone, you know, they can package whatever they want to with you. If you're buying, you know, some kind of drum machine, it doesn't matter who it is, they can still package these sounds and all this other stuff with it. So that's something that's dope too. And another thing for Sweetwater, which would be dope, is Sweetwater sells computers. So Sweetwater could do stuff to where you could get a custom computer build with, you know, complete standard already in there. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they work out something with Ableton, FL Studio, whatever company, and now you get these computers that are loaded with Ableton or FL Studio and Native Instruments, you know what I'm saying, complete in there. And then you give it away for a good deal. I mean, they could just do so much with the software because they have such a wealth of just a wealth of money and tools and resources, and they work with every company. So I think that Sweetwater would be a great company to buy Native Instruments, and you know, they wouldn't have to do too much to try to squeeze every penny out of it. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't, for them, it wouldn't be like their top thing that they're working with. It would just be another tool, another cog, you know what I'm saying, in the system. So I think Sweetwater would be good. And I think with Sweetwater, another company that would be good too would be Thomann, for the same exact reasons why. Because Thomann, you know, they made 1.3 billion in 2022, probably making about the same amount as Sweetwater, because you know this is Europe stuff versus Sweetwater being American stuff. So I think that Thomann, everything that I just said for Sweetwater, I think would stand the same for Thomann, because it wouldn't be their number one focus. It could just be something they put a division in front of, and it's just another piece that's going to make them money. I think that they would do a good job at keeping the company going. Let's talk about inMusic, right? So I don't have any numbers on inMusic. It just tells me around 14.5 million, approximately 18, but that can't be right. That's probably just one piece, because it's hard for me to believe that inMusic would only make 14.5 or 18.5 million dollars when they own Akai, M Audio. Now they have Moog, they have Rain, and then they have so much more. You know, they have Air, Music Tech. They just have so much stuff in there. They have Newmark. I mean, they have so much stuff in inMusic. So I wouldn't believe that their net worth would only be this. But I do see something here that says it is 8 million pounds is their net worth. But I don't know if this is correct. You know what I'm saying? I would think that inMusic would be worth more than 8 million buying Akai, because I think they had to buy Akai for like 100 million, or all that money when Akai went up a few years ago. I just think that inMusic has a bunch of money. But here's my thing with inMusic. I wouldn't want to see inMusic buy Native Instruments, for the simple fact that I think that that causes a conflict of interest between the machine and the MPC, because those would be the top two selling, you know, workstations. So it kind of becomes like a monopoly situation, because I feel like most of the people that use groove boxes, probably 75, 80% of them are using MPCs and machines. And so that kind of is, you know, makes it to where there's no checks and balances on prices. And so Akai would be able to just monopolize the groove box space, and they would be able to raise the price of the groove box. So if there was something, which there's not going to be anything they can do, but if there was something that would that they could put in place that would keep it a competitive rate, or like we can't raise the prices more than 5% a year or something like that, like they do on apartment complexes or leases, I could see inMusic buying it. But they're not going to do anything like that in the sense of business. So I just think that inMusic, yeah, they would be good to own like Contact and stuff like that. That's fine. But it's like once they start getting into the groove box, that's kind of my only thing with inMusic is like, do they shelf the machine forever, or do they jack the prices up on the machine and the MPC? I just don't know, because that's what happens a lot of time in business. That's literally why we're not supposed to have monopolies in the United States, and it's illegal, is because people jack up the prices. So based off of history, I would just believe that they would jack up the prices too, because that's what people do when they monopolize. Man, I fumbled through that last sentence. And so a lot of people said Spectrasonics. I don't think that Spectrasonics has the money to buy Native Instruments, because it says here they only make about 5 million annually. I believe that's probably around what they would make, 5 to 10 million annually, because their product is such a premium. Not everybody's buying it because it's $500 for Omnisphere. And then once you have Omnisphere, you have Omnisphere. They're not coming out with a bunch of new stuff all the time. They come out with the sonic extensions every once in a while, but they dropped 4 of them like 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, and then they've only dropped 1 more since. So Omnisphere or Spectrasonics isn't really a company that would be able to absolve Native Instruments. And I don't think for them it would be worth it to just take something like Plugin Alliance, if they could afford that, because they already have their ecosystem of plugins, and their plugins are fire, that come in Omnisphere. So I don't see a reason for them needing to spend any money on Plugin Alliance or Brainworks. And so after them, we have ImageLine. So FL Studio users, I know a lot of people were like, oh, FL Studio, ImageLine should get them. ImageLine should get them. I don't know if ImageLine has enough money to get them, dog. Just to be honest, like FL Studio, they said the revenue in 2023 was 40.7 million. So obviously they're gonna have more money, you know what I'm saying, in their account. They have assets, all that other stuff. So that might be the fringe of a company that might have the money to buy them, because based off of the other 30 years of them being around, we don't know what kind of money, ImageLine has in the bank. But they might not be able to afford Native Instruments, even though if FL Studio could get frickin' Native Instruments and that stuff be native in the DAW, oh, fam, that would be lovely. But I guess it would be the same experience though for me, since I already use Contact and all that stuff. But if they could integrate it better and make some of the stuff more CPU friendly and stuff like that, oh, that would be fire. That'd be fire. And so we'll still go down this path. Ableton, another company, they make what it says 73 million. And it says older data, this is 2012, though we can't go by that 18.5. But Ableton making $73.6 million a year in revenue. They could probably afford to get, Native Instruments too. That would be nice for Ableton users. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to see it, but that'd be nice for Ableton users. And then the same with Pro Tools. So Pro Tools, they say Pro Tools is worth $1.4 billion as of late 2023. So clearly Avid has the money. Avid could buy Native Instruments, and I don't know if I necessarily see a problem with that, because I don't think Avid would be dumb enough to be like, oh, we're going to make this only AAX and we're going to make this only for Pro Tools, because then they're just going to lose money. Because I'm not going to go to Pro Tools to use Native Instrument stuff. I'm not going to switch my DAW to use Native Instruments. So I think that's another company that could potentially buy them out, you know what I'm saying, and make it work. Now, one of the companies I originally thought would be a great company that could buy Native Instruments was Apple. But then the more I start thinking about Apple, because Apple got $3.8 trillion, $3.9 trillion. The thing with Apple is Apple doesn't like PC. So I think that over time, it would just affect PC, like compatibility, or they might make, Apple's crazy. They don't care. I mean, they're worth $3.9 trillion. So, a little $100 million for Native Instruments ain't nothing for them. You know what I'm saying? That's like 10, 20, 30, $100 for them. So they might not necessarily care about PC users anymore, but it would be so dope if Apple bought them, because then like they would probably, integrate a whole bunch of Logic stuff inside the machine, inside, you know what I'm saying, their turntables. They would probably make all of the stuff, like all their interfaces and everything, compatible with Apple, and it would probably all work great. So I use a MacBook. I also use a PC. I just recently switched to iPhone. So for me, it would be great because I prefer the MacBook over the PC, but I could just see how I would be worried if I was a PC fan because we know how Mac is. It's just MacBook ain't going to do anything at all to make a PC user's life easier, you know, with their phones, with their, or they're not going to make anything easier for an Android user with their, you know, their MacBooks and stuff. So Apple has all the money in the world, and Apple would do a great job of promoting Contact. I think that they would revive everything in Contact, and it would go great with Logic. But I just wonder how it would affect everybody else in the music community who doesn't use Apple. That's just my main thoughts on this one. You know what I'm saying? So up next, got to mention them, Fender. I don't know if I necessarily want Fender grabbing this just because Fender is Fender, and we already saw what Fender did with Studio One, right? But it says they make 500 million annually as of reports. So they clearly got the money. They got all the money in the world buy, you know what I'm saying, to buy Native Instruments, but are they going to just rebrand it Fender Instruments? And then all of the guitars, like the electric Sunburst, is going to be like the electric Fender Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? The neon Fender Deluxe, you know, like the Scarby, whatever, Deluxe, Fender Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? Every guitar rig is gonna be Guitar Fender Rig Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna slap Fender on every single thing that, you know, is in guitar rigs. So it's like I don't want that either, you know? Fender's, Alicia's keys. Massive Fender X. You know what I'm saying? Like 40's own Fender's keys. You know what I'm saying? 40's own Fender's drums and shit. I don't want that, man. I don't want that. So I don't want to see that either, you know? Maybe I could see Fender taking like Brainworks effects, and maybe I could see Fender. I might not even be mad at Fender taking Isotope and then developing that, as long as it doesn't become Isa Fender Tope. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants that. So I would be all right with them absorbing with them absorbing Isotope, Brainworks, Plugin Alliance, but just leave Native Instruments alone, dog. Leave Native Instruments alone. Another company would be Solid State Logic, SSL. So we don't have much information on SSL, but we know SSL has a ton of mixing plugins. So if they wanted to get into like, you know, virtual instruments, it would be perfect for them to grab something like Native Instruments. And that's all they need is Native Instruments. They don't need none of the effects. Because now they're working with Sonable, so it's like it wouldn't make sense for them to break that Sonable relationship to buy Isotope when they're probably gonna. It's probably more cost efficient for them to work with Sonable to do smart and AI plugins than it would be to buy Isotope and then pay all their employees. And then, you know what I'm saying? So I think SSL would be a decent company to just personally buy Native Instruments. But it does say here that their net worth annual revenue is around 25.8 million. I figured it would be more than that, but I guess I'm wrong. So maybe they couldn't afford it. I know IK Multimedia is another company that probably is just a little bit out of there. They can't buy it either, but I know that would probably make a lot of people mad too with the upgrade plan. So IK Multimedia isn't really in the race. Now, here's one that I like for Isotope though, is Google. And Google Labs and Google's all their AI stuff. I think that Google could take Isotope and they could take Isotope to the next level. Because I know they're getting into music and stuff like that. So I could just see Google grabbing Isotope and kind of trying to take it to the next level. I think that if Google grabs something like Native Instruments, they would fumble it and they would fumble Native Instruments. I feel like it would get worse because Google is so rich. Google fumbles a lot of projects. I know people don't realize that, but Google fumbles a lot. And so I just wouldn't want to see Native Instruments being one of the things that Google fumbles. And then the last company that I have that I think would be cool too would be Universal Audio. So they have valuations over 40 and, or no, that's UMG who they work with, who have valuations over 40 and 50 billion. It looks like in revenue, Universal Audio makes about 32.4 million a year, but they do have backing from UMG. So Universal Audio would be a cool company, especially now that everything's not gatekept through a Universal Audio interface. and they're selling a lot of their plugins for cheap, I think that Native Instruments would be a good route for them too as well, especially if they're selling like a lot of plugins that they used to sell for 300, 150 for like 10, 20, or in bundles for 100. If you could start getting bundles of some of these Native Instruments libraries for like 100, get 4 bundles for 100. Oh, who wouldn't be on that? Who wouldn't be trying to grab that, you know? So that's just what I have for you guys today, guys. I just wanted to do a quick little video and maybe have a conversation about some of the companies that could buy Native Instruments, who should buy Native Instruments, and who shouldn't. Waves. You stay the F away. Don't you come near them. Don't you come near them. Stay away. Stay away. But that's just what I wanted to do in today's video. Let me know below in the comments who you guys would want to see buy Native Instruments and what you guys want to see next. Make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time I bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the key.